Discipline is the foundation of daily peace. That might sound harsh to some people. It might sound like the opposite of what peace should be. When people think of peace, they picture stillness, soft light, a calm breeze, an escape from pressure. But that version of peace is temporary. It's a feeling, not a condition. It comes and it goes depending on what's happening around you. The real peace, the kind that doesn't break when life gets loud, is built through structure, through control, through discipline. Because when your mind is scattered, your body is untrained, your day is reactive instead of deliberate, there's no room for peace. There's only survival. Discipline gives you the ability to predict your world, to plan your response, to control your energy before the world hijacks it. Discipline is not about punishment, it's about power, it's about clarity, it's about knowing where you're going and setting your body and mind to get there regardless of how you feel. Most people wait to feel motivated before they move, but feelings are liars. Discipline doesn't wait for the right feeling. It acts on commitment. It moves forward when everything says quit. That is where peace begins, not when life gets easier, but when you get stronger. You wake up and you choose your first victory of the day. Maybe it's getting out of bed on the first alarm. Maybe it's doing your workout before the sun rises. Maybe it's getting quiet with yourself before the noise of the world starts up. That first win, that first act of discipline, tells your mind who's in charge, not your fear, not your laziness, not your excuses, you. When you own that first moment, it creates momentum. And momentum is how peace is created, not by one massive breakthrough, but by 1,000 little acts of control and consistency. Discipline clears the clutter, not just on your desk or in your house, but in your head. When you live without discipline, everything piles up. Responsibilities, regrets, conversations you avoid, promises you break, and all that chaos leaks into your soul. But when you bring discipline into your life, you start taking care of things before they become problems. You stop letting fear drive your decisions. You stop chasing pleasure and start choosing purpose. That's where the peace comes from. Knowing you're not running from anything. Knowing your life is in order because you put it there with your own 2 hands. You can't have peace when your body is weak and your mind is noisy. Physical discipline translates into mental discipline. You push your body and you learn how to push through resistance in life. You train your body and you learn how to train your thoughts. You feed your body well and you stop feeding your mind with junk. You move, sweat, breathe, lift, and every time you do that, you're not just shaping muscle, you're sharpening your mindset. You're building a structure that holds up when everything else around you starts falling apart. You're giving yourself a place of strength to stand on. A place of calm in the middle of the storm. People think peace is the absence of conflict, but that's false. Life is conflict. Every day there's resistance. Every day there's something that pushes back. Peace isn't found by avoiding that. Peace is found by mastering the discipline to stay grounded through it, to stand when everything around you is falling, to lead yourself when no one else will. That's what discipline does. It gives you the edge you need to remain stable, focused, unshaken. Even when life tries to break you, especially then, you might not control what happens to you, but you control how prepared you are. You control how you show up. You control what time you get out of bed. You control whether you keep that promise to yourself. You control what you eat, how you move, what you think, who you surround yourself with. That's discipline. And when you stack those small wins, when you stop letting life dictate your attitude and start dictating your response, you begin to live with peace, not because it's calm outside, but because it's calm inside, because you've chosen to lead your life instead of being led by it. Detach from chaos to regain control. The world is loud, it's fast, it's always demanding something. your time, your focus, your emotions. There's always a screen lighting up, a message waiting, a notification buzzing, a crisis brewing. And if you don't make a deliberate decision to step back from that chaos, you'll be swallowed by it. You'll mistake the noise for urgency, you'll start reacting instead of thinking, you'll start surviving instead of leading. Detachment is not weakness, it's not escape, it's a warrior's discipline. It's how you keep your mind clear when everything around you is burning. It's how you stay sharp in a world that wants you distracted. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop being controlled by things you can't control. It means you stop feeding every fire, stop chasing every opinion, stop absorbing every emotion that doesn't belong to you. You take a breath, you zoom out, you look at the situation from the outside, not from inside the storm. When emotions rise, detachment lets you keep your footing. When pressure hits, detachment gives you room to think. When people come at you with drama, detachment keeps you from swinging back. It's not passive, it's tactical. It's how leaders lead. It's how warriors win. You can't detach if you're always plugged in. If your mind is always on edge, always reacting, always spinning, you're not in control. You're in chaos. Detachment requires space. It requires silence. It requires you to stop running and stand still for long enough to ask yourself, what's actually happening here? What matters? What doesn't? What's my role? What's my responsibility? That space, that clarity is everything. Most people don't do that. Most people panic, react, argue, escalate, and they lose peace, not because of the situation, but because they never learned how to separate themselves from the madness. When things go wrong, the first instinct is to grab on tighter, to try to force outcomes, to fix things by doing more, saying more, controlling more. But real control comes when you release the illusion of control, when you let go of what isn't yours to carry. Detachment is about focus. You zero in on what's actually under your command, your mindset, your response, your effort, and you release everything else. You don't waste your strength trying to change people. You don't drain your energy worrying about tomorrow. You don't engage in every conflict that shows up at your door. You stay in your lane. You protect your peace by guarding your focus. Chaos isn't always external. Sometimes it's in your own head. It's that constant mental chatter, the overthinking, the regrets from yesterday, and the fears about tomorrow. You replay conversations, you anticipate problems, you create scenarios that haven't even happened. Detachment from internal chaos is just as important as detachment from external distractions. You have to learn to interrupt that mental noise, to stop feeding it, to challenge it, to say, not today. I've got work to do. You create that mental distance by grounding yourself in the present, by choosing to focus on what's real, not what's imagined. That's not easy. That takes training, but it's worth it. One of the most powerful forms of detachment is from ego. That voice that wants to be right, that wants to win every argument, that wants recognition, that wants control. Ego thrives in chaos. It reacts to every slight. It explodes under pressure. It takes everything personally. If you want peace, you've got to detach from your ego. You've got to be willing to let things go, to not have the last word, to stay quiet when it would feel good to explode. You've got to choose calm over being correct. You've got to choose mission over pride. That's the difference between emotional chaos and inner leadership. Detachment gives you the ability to observe without absorbing, to walk through fire without letting it burn your soul. It allows you to step into situations fully aware, fully present, and fully in control, not of what's happening, but of yourself. And that control is the beginning of peace, because when the world pulls, you don't flinch. When emotions rise, you don't drown. You stay anchored, you stay alert, you respond with intention, not reaction. That's how you lead in chaos. That's how you find peace every day, not because life gets quieter, but because you've trained yourself to rise above the noise. Own your mindset, no one else will. That truth is brutal, but it's the truth. No one is coming to rescue your thoughts. No one is coming to clean up the mess in your head. No one is going to train your mind for you. That is your job. That is your responsibility, and until you take ownership of what goes on inside your own head, you will always be at the mercy of your environment. You'll let other people's words define your worth. You'll let fear steer your decisions. You'll let doubt chain you to the same place. You'll live reactive instead of proactive. Controlled instead of in control. Your mind is a battlefield. You wake up, and the first enemy you face is not out in the world. It's the voice inside that says you're tired. You're not good enough, you can't change. That voice will lie to you every day, and if you don't take command, you'll believe it. Owning your mindset means challenging that voice. It means refusing to accept every thought as truth. It means becoming the filter, not the sponge. You don't absorb everything your mind throws at you. You filter it. You decide what stays and what gets thrown out. That's ownership. That's leadership. Most people let their thoughts run wild. They believe every anxious idea. They repeat every insecure thought, and then they wonder why they don't feel peace. The mind becomes what you allow it to repeat. If all you do is focus on problems, negativity, blame, fear, then that's what your mind will become. But if you start training it like a muscle, start feeding it with discipline, truth, perspective, then it starts to change. It starts to obey you instead of control you. It starts working for you instead of against you. But you have to put in the reps. You have to show up every day and decide, I will not be owned by weakness. I will lead myself. There will always be something trying to hijack your mindset. Social media, toxic people, pressure, setbacks. The world throws distractions and noise at you constantly. But you get to choose how you respond. You get to choose what you let inside. You get to decide whether a bad moment becomes a bad day, whether failure becomes your identity or just a lesson. That decision is yours. That power is yours. But you can only access it if you own it. If you stop blaming your circumstances and start taking command of your focus, your attitude, your beliefs, owning your mind, set doesn't mean you never struggle. It means you know where to go when you do. It means you don't sit in the dark. You switch on the light. You don't wait to feel strong. You remind yourself of the truth. You don't let your emotions lead. You lead your emotions. That takes repetition, it takes practice, and it takes honesty. You have to be brutally honest with yourself. You have to know your weak spots. You have to confront the lies you've believed for too long. And then you go to work. Day by day, thought by thought, rewiring, rebuilding, leading a strong mind. Set isn't built by chance. It's built by choice. It's built when you choose to do what's right even when it's uncomfortable. It's built when you choose truth over feelings, when you choose purpose over panic, when you choose to speak life instead of self-sabotage. Every time you choose growth instead of staying stuck, your mindset gets stronger. Every time you take responsibility instead of pointing fingers, your mindset gets sharper. Every time you refuse to break under pressure and instead breathe, recalibrate, and move forward, you are building a mind that can stand in any storm. You don't get a peaceful life from a chaotic mind. And you don't get a peaceful mind by accident. You earn it, you train it, you protect it. That's why owning your mindset is not a one-time thing. It's daily, it's constant. It's waking up and deciding, I will not be a victim of my thoughts today. I will lead them. I will master them. I will use them as fuel, not as chains. That's the work. That's the mission. You want peace. You want strength. You want clarity. Then start where it all begins. In your mind, own it. No one else will build peace through action, not avoidance. Most people think peace comes from stepping away, from hiding, from cutting things off and running in the opposite direction. They avoid conflict, they avoid discomfort, they avoid anything that might shake them up. But what they don't understand is that avoiding the hard things doesn't lead to peace. It leads to pressure. It builds up, it festers, it waits in the shadows and shows up in your sleep, in your stress, in your short temper, in your emptiness. Real peace is not the absence of problems, it's the presence of purpose. It's the result of action, of engagement, of facing life head on and refusing to bow to fear. Peace is not passive. It's not something you stumble into by doing less. It's something you build by doing the right things consistently. It's taking action where action is needed. It's having that hard conversation you've been putting off. It's finishing that task that's been haunting you for weeks. It's getting your body moving when your mind wants to sink. It's showing up in your responsibilities, your relationships, your mission. Not perfectly, but with full presence. That's what builds peace, showing up when it's hard, acting when it's uncomfortable, deciding to face the fire instead of letting it burn you from the inside out. You can't outsource peace. You can't wish it into existence. You can't meditate your way out of a mess you created with inaction. You have to take responsibility. You have to make the call. You have to write the plan. You have to take the step. And it's not about huge dramatic moves. It's the small, disciplined actions that compound, the ones no one sees. The ones you do when no one is clapping. That's where peace is formed. In the quiet commitment to doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. In that moment when you want to retreat, but instead, you choose to lean in and do the work. Avoidance breeds anxiety. The more you run from things, the more they chase you. That bill you didn't pay, that conversation you never finished, that health habit you keep breaking. It doesn't disappear, it multiplies. But when you take action, even if it's small, you take back control. You prove to yourself that you're not helpless, that you're not at the mercy of circumstances. You become the kind of person who handles what needs to be handled. And that brings peace, not because everything is perfect, but because you're not afraid of imperfection anymore. People want peace without pressure. They want results without responsibility, but peace doesn't come from escape. It comes from engagement, from stepping into the tension, from leading yourself through it. That's how strength is built. That's how confidence is developed. And with confidence comes peace, not arrogance, not false security, but a deep, grounded calm that says, I've done what I needed to do today. That kind of peace can't be taken away by circumstances because it wasn't given by them in the first place. Every day gives you opportunities to either take action or hide. You either pick up the phone or ignore it. You either hit the gym or hit snooze. You either apologize or justify. Every single one of those choices shapes the way you see yourself. The more you choose action, the more you trust yourself. The more you trust yourself, the less chaos can shake you. You stop walking around with that low-grade anxiety that something is always unfinished. You stop second guessing every decision. You stop waiting for life to fix itself and start living like you were built to overcome. There's a weight that comes from avoidance, and there's a different kind of weight that comes from action. The weight of avoidance drags you down, makes you tired, steals your energy, poisons your joy. But the weight of action, it strengthens you. It clears your mind. It lifts your spirit. It doesn't always feel good in the moment, but over time, it builds a kind of peace that is unshakable. A kind of confidence that doesn't need validation. A kind of quiet power that comes from knowing you showed up when it mattered, so the path to peace is not paved with comfort. It's paved with action, with discipline, with doing the hard things before they become impossible things, with facing what you fear instead of feeding it, with showing up in every area of your life with intention. That's how you build peace, not by waiting for the storm to pass, but by becoming the kind of person who knows how to walk through it with purpose, with courage, and with strength.